Michael Van Runkle here for HotCars.com. I'm here with Hans Baath of Cyan Racing. He's the GM, and we are in the P1800 Cyan. It's a crazy Volvo-based build, carbon fiber, tons of power. Hans, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for bringing me here, up in the hills.
It's a beautiful day up here, and we're gonna take this incredible bespoke, borderline supercar out for a spin. So let's fire it up. It's got a dogleg shifter, so I have to remember that first is down and back. And the clutch is like race car stiff, which I love, and sort of points to Cyan Racing's race car history. So Hans, if you could tell us a little bit about the drivetrain that you've dropped into this P1800, that'd be great.
Okay, so it starts with the engine, which is Volvo based. So it's got the original, the block and the cylinder head from any modern Volvo today, but more or less everything else is bespoke. We've been racing these engines since 2011.
Oh wow!
So, and it came into production in 2014. So we've been working closely with Volvo for development in very many different aspects of it.
So it's now producing 420 horsepower, I believe.
Yeah, yes, correct.
And you've really tuned it so that the turbo kicks in and the horsepower is all very high in the rev range. I'm not revving it up super high because we want you to be able to hear our voices. But when I punch it, and Hans advised me to let it go well above 7,000 RPM towards the 7,700 RPM redline.
Yeah, that's
it
where it really
starts
lives.
to scream.
Yeah, and then it's connected to a Hollinger 5-speed dogleg, as you said, gearbox. We've been really working to find something that gives you that mechanical feeling.
It's got great engagement. I thought of it immediately as like a bolt-action rifle. It's very firm, but not like you have to work to get it into position, and once it engages, you're right there, and then that's feeding a limited slip, I think also from Hollinger, right?
Yes, correct.
Now, in terms of engagement, this car is super fun to drive because it does not have assisted brakes, there's no ABS, there is some light power steering just so that you've got a little bit more control should things start to slip out on you. But in general, it's just you and the road, and part of that is because you guys dropped this powertrain into an original P1800 chassis that you then modified.
Yeah, that's correct. So there are a few parts of the original chassis still in this car, steel chassis, but all of that is reinforced, and a lot of it is replaced by high-strength steel, and we've triangulated weak points in the original chassis.
Yeah.
To make it more rigid.
And able to handle that kind of power and the kind of G's we're pulling in the corners.
Absolutely, and we try to keep that analog feeling from the 60s, but raise it to a level of what modern day engineering can do.
And so on top of that P1800 modified chassis, you've now done what sounds like a carbon fiber tub with a carbon fiber hood and a carbon fiber trunk lid, but it's not really the tub because there is the chassis. Can you walk me through that, please?
Yeah, I mean the carbon fiber construction is a vital part of integrated to the steel chassis, so that's a vital part of the total rigidity of the chassis. And then the front end and rear end are bespoke for this car, so double wishbones front and rear, independent suspension rear, rack and pinion steering instead of the old steering box that the original cars had.
The original cars would not have had power steering, folks. And this is like, it's pretty cool because it's almost not like power steering, but then you do get a little bit of assist at lower speeds because we're on wide, sticky Pirelli tires. But you mentioned also that they're not the stickiest tires on the planet, and that you chose them specifically to sort of accentuate the driving dynamics of this car.
Exactly, and yeah, right now we're on one of these great canyon roads here in LA, Santa Monica, and this is where the car really works. And if we would have put a higher spec R tire on it, it would be faster on a racetrack. But the kind of confidence you get in with these tires, working together with the suspension on this kind of bumpy road, it gives you confidence to go into a corner, and you're 100% certain that it will be there for you.
Well, it's got a ton of grip, Pirelli P0 tires, but it's also because that carbon fiber construction keeps the curb weight around 2,200 pounds?
Yeah, that's correct. For us, metric Sweden, it was important to be below 1 ton, below 1,000 kilos. So this one is 990.
just a hair under.
Yeah.
But that is unlike anything on the road today. So why did you decide to go from Cyan Racing to creating a bespoke car based on the P1800 that is unlike anything on the road today?
Yeah, one would wonder, but because Cyan Racing is, as it sounds, is a racing company, but we have a history of creating road cars from our race cars. Previously, we were known as Polestar before Volvo bought that company.
Sounds familiar.
Name from us, yeah. And we had actually literally made a road-going car, first concept cars, and then later on also cars that you can buy here in the US, the Volvo P1800 and S60. When we finally won in 2017 the World Championship title, we wanted to celebrate that, and then we had already done the S60, which we were racing with then, and we thought that this is Sweden's, Volvo's, and our first world title. We want to do something that really makes a mark, and the P1800 is an iconic Volvo vehicle. There's never been anything like it in history. So we picked this one, and we played with the thought that, okay, if we would have been racing in the golden 60s, what could we have done with this car? So we fused that modern technology into this creature.
Well, a lot of people here in America probably think Volvo and they think soccer mom and safety, but I can report that having 3 Volvo Amazons from the similar era as the P1800 shares a lot of components with this car. They're surprisingly sporty. We're talking about in the 1960s though. It's nothing like what you would expect from a modern car or a modern supercar, which this thing really borders on. So how many are you building, and how many have you sold, and what's the plan going forward?
There are currently 5 cars in different steps of production. The first US client car. This is what the car we're in is now is the first car we ever built.
It's sort of a prototype. You can work on stuff on it.
Yeah, it's sort of the verifying prototype. We have other prototypes to go with, sort of in this original steel chassis. But this is the first sort of. This is very close to what the client gets. Still a bit small bits and pieces that we develop. But the first client car is coming to the US, so we'll show it at the Quail in Monterey this summer. Yeah. So 5 cars in total now, and it's very difficult to say how many cars that we will be able to sell. It's up to the market really.
Yeah.
But we've done the tooling for the car, for the carbon fiber, for that kind of parts, for 100 cars.
Wow.
Yeah. But in terms of production, with the setup we have now, we can deliver 1 car per month.
Wow.
When we are up to speed. So
yeah. And I believe pricing is started at 500,000 US and now is up to 700,000.
I think 700 is more of a. The car can be tailored very much to the client's preferences.
Interesting.
So
what can you play with when you're starting to take an order from a client?
I mean, obviously, color and the interior is vital parts, because that's the first thing you want to make your personal version of.
Yeah.
But then you have sort of the comfort of the car. We were talking about that previously. I think the setup of this car right now as we drive it is perfect for what we do now. It's sort of canyon roads, fun to drive.
It's firm, not a lot of body roll, but it's taking the bumps okay. It's not like a Porsche GT3 RS where you're bouncing down the road.
Not at all. And as I said before, we started on the racetrack, and then we actually dial it back to make it fun. So if you want a faster car, you can have that. This is on the, I said, the optimum fun.
Yeah.
And if you want your ice cream cruiser Grand Tourer car, we can make it, more comfortable, less. You can take some of the noise away if you want to have that.
I don't want that. I love the noise.
A couple of different alternatives on the diffs, rear diffs. This one is a little bit more racy, and then we have this little bit more touring feel.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there are different things with the chassis. Obviously, the shock absorbers are adjustable, but we can also play with the spring rates. The steering, there are optional ratio for the steering. We can work on the power steering. So it's built to be able to tune it to the needs and the preferences. It should be tailored as a suit for you.
Yes, but not strictly tailored just for looks and style, but also for performance, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, and then the engine output. Actually, one of the orders is you could maybe you ask yourself why you always want more, but one of the cars that we will deliver this summer has less horsepower than this because
they just
client said, "I don't need that. I don't want that. It's too much." What do you say? Is it too much?
I would disagree with that statement. I would say it's perfect, but that's just my opinion. It's really incredible. You can hear the blow-off valve from the turbocharger when you're up in the rev range, but it's sort of got a very linear power band, which I think was what you guys were going for, and it's perfect because I just got in this car and started driving. I'm not worried about the turbo boost coming in like this is some tuned Subaru.
Exactly, that's so important, and we always talk about driver confidence. I mean, we're a racing company, and now we've got 5 world titles.
Yeah.
And what we learned is that the car should never surprise the driver. The road can do, like anywhere, and the traffic can do. But the car, and on a racetrack, you can always get surprised. But the car should never surprise you. And like a turbo kick mid-corner, there's no reason for that. So as you drive it now, you really drive the car with a throttle and steering wheel. You feel the tires where they are, and we were a little bit fast before the camera got on, and I could sense that you, after just a few corners, you had that confidence going into corner. It will never let you down.
Yeah, the feedback is really impressive. Even though you have added a little bit of assist to the steering, it just goes exactly where you put it, and then you don't have to muscle it through. So if we had the AC on, I would not be sweating on a drive like this, which I probably would be in a car with absolutely no power steering.
Yeah, that's a completely different thing, and we started the project without the power steering, but we felt that modern day tires really need that little bit of support.
So what is the suspension? What kind of shocks, what kind of springs, and how did you make the sway bars yourself?
Yeah, the whole chassis is bespoke, Cyan made. The car is designed by the same race team, the same team of engineering that made the race car for the 17 S60 TC1. So it got double wishbones front and rear. So Öhlins shock absorbers with our own valving, because we've been working with Öhlins since ever, and we have our own idea about how to maximize them.
And those are manually adjustable?
Yes.
Cool.
Yes. And as I said, you can play with spring rates as well. Then the sway bars, adjustable sway bars.
Oh,
yes.
All right.
So it's really, you can dial the chassis in a number of different directions, really.
Well, so dialing in the performance is one thing, but you guys have also done a really good job of sort of marrying old and new. So these gauges look very retro, but they're electronically controlled with a CPU computer somehow telling it what's going on under the hood.
Yeah, I mean the whole electronic system on the car is fully electronic. All the instruments you see, they look very near the original, but they are fully electronic. All the switches, everything is bespoke for the car. So it's got a modern day electronic system. So it's a car from the 60s that won't let you down a rainy day.
Or a hot day in Malibu.
Yeah.
Which is what we're doing, but it's a perfect day. It's blue skies and we're in a blue car. And honestly, there are few cars as visceral as this. I sometimes surprise people given how many cars I drive. People say, what's your favorite car? What's your favorite classic car? What's your favorite EV? And
you drive a lot of cars.
I drive a lot of cars. And really, that 122S coupe that's sort of a 123 GT clone is so dialed in. It's one of the best cars I've ever driven. Now, it's not fast, it's not powerful, but it's got that connection that you feel immediately. And you've managed to do that in this car while making it as much of a performance vehicle as a modern car, and that's what's really blowing me away. I wish that we had more time with it, and obviously I do get a little nervous about causing any damage to your car before your show tomorrow.
Enjoy it. You won't enjoy it.
But it's just so fun to drive, and I'm just, the style is just about perfect for me. You showed me that billet aluminum piece around the windows is from one big aluminum piece. It's details like that that people who are looking at their Singer Porsches or their Icon trucks are gonna say, wow, that P1800 Cyan is up there. It's really cool. And then you also have a rarity factor because, let's be honest, driving around here in Malibu, you see about 100 Porsches a day.
That's true.
And in the rest of the world, the Volvo P1800 is perhaps more common than this car is here. So where are you finding those chassis?
Having said that, Volvo made 50,000 of these between 61 and 73.
Yeah.
And so there are a lot of
mass
cars,
production.
and actually California was one of the success markets for it. So there are cars around, and this car is built on a donor vehicle for the customer, for the client. So the client needs to have one, but obviously we can help sourcing it.
Yes.
But the good thing, if there are any purists out there, we can start with a very, very worn down, rusted away vehicle.
And then you're bringing it back to life.
Yes.
Even better back to life.
Sort of a little bit of a rebirth of the vehicle.
It's a phoenix.
It is, for sure, yeah.
Well, we're gonna turn right up here and give it a little punch. Because if the GoPro can pick up the audio, we gotta do it a little bit here. Into second, up there, dogleg box. It gets loud, and it sounds really good. It's got that raspy quality that I just love from a turbo. It makes it feel wild. It's like roaring at you, but wanting more.
Yep, absolutely. It's
And
great
then
for it.
I think I spotted AP Racing brake calipers, non-assisted, so you have that really stiff pedal, but then it's got travel. It's not just like a block that you're pushing on.
And there is a balance bar, so you can dial in the brake balance as you want it.
Really?
Yes.
Everything. It's like a race car that's for the street, and it's a classic, and it's a supercar. And then it goes really fast, guys. It's 420 horsepower in a car that weighs less than 1,000 kilograms. And there's no ABS and no traction control.
But there is grip.
There is so much grip. I only chirped the tires once, and it was because I did a less than stellar downshift, which is basically my specialty in life. But that was entirely my fault, not the cars. Cruising around corners like this, there is a limit.
lateral grip here.
It's crazy.
Into these corners,
Yeah, the closest thing I can come to in terms of power and handling is an F4 car I drove.
Okay.
Which is really saying something about a 1960s Volvo. It's crazy. I can't believe that you're going to take this and show it to the public, and I would expect that you're going to get some orders here in West LA, because the uniqueness, the style, the performance, the heritage, and the way it sounds is all super top notch. I don't even know how to say how awesome this car is. Like, my words won't do it justice. This video won't do it justice. My driving certainly won't do it justice.
I think your smile maybe tells something.
Okay, I'll just have to accept that. But yes, we'd better wrap up this review. again, thank you so much for giving me a chance to take this thing out up here in the hills. Best of luck tomorrow. It's going to be awesome.
Thank you for having us up here.
This car is incredible.
So beautiful roads.
And thank you for watching. As always, please like this video and subscribe to our channel before you sign off so we can keep getting you awesome cars and awesome content like that. Thanks.
Thank you.